All right, let's talk about the second best team in the league, and I think it's pretty substantial and clear. It's Detroit. That was not an easy game. At Minnesota, Minnesota has engulfed good teams. And the Lions may never get their defense right. They've been trying for years. The minute they get it right, that horrible injury to Aiden Hutchinson, right? But quarterback, O-line, run game, clever offensive coordinator, power, finesse, culture. There are no weaknesses to that offense. I mean, Jared Goff essentially looks like he's playing catch with his friends. In his last 3 games, Jared Goff's completing 85% of his throws with 153 passer rating. It is a video game. And remember, Minnesota's defense, especially at home with that crowd noise, is ferocious, is outstanding. He had 3 incompletions against them. C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, I've never seen anything like this defense. I was seeing ghosts. Jared Goff's playing catch. It almost feels like as we head into week 8, Chiefs, Lions, Super Bowl, it's kind of starting to feel inevitable. You don't have to reach for the narrative or grasp for a story. I mean, Detroit's offense in an offensive league. And here's what I also love, is that there's this collective chip on the shoulder with Detroit. I mean, Goff was cast off in L.A., get out of here. And then Dan Campbell has been mocked. And the city of Detroit for years has been a punchline. And Detroit has taken that and built this muscle car from different parts. It's got Mad Max feel to it. And they are head coach, GM, offensive line, tackles, everything. They are a kneecap biting monster. They are just the team. And Minnesota's really good. Minnesota's got a brilliant defensive coordinator. Jared Goff had 3 incompletions. So, I mean, and what I loved about this game for Detroit, Detroit trailed, on the road. And then Detroit led. And then they trailed again. And then they came back. And then they had to hold off a more than capable Sam Darnold Viking offense. It's the kind of game you see in January and February. All these routes are fun, but what you watch with Detroit and Minnesota, that feels like the NFC Championship. And you're on the road, and you trail early, and the crowd is humming, and you can't hear, and you just start running the football, and you take a lead, then you fall behind, and then you rally and take the lead again and hold on. That looked like a playoff game. I feel like with Detroit, I'm watching this sort of adolescent boy, and every couple months his voice gets deeper. He's got more confidence. Few pimples, you know, but then he walks out one morning and mom looks up and he's 6'5", 245 and has a D1 scholarship offer to Ohio State or Michigan.
There you go, Lions. You're going through puberty. Congratulations. You're all grown up. Okay, let's talk about this. This was an awesome game. And I disagree with Colin, though, about saying, oh, this proves the Lions are the second best. Please tell me how beating the Minnesota Vikings, undefeated, divisional rivalry on the road, right? The Vikings have been awesome, makes them the second best team, but yet the Chiefs beat the 49ers, who are just decimated with injuries right now, have not been a top 10 team. I think they're 3-4, and yet that proves that the Chiefs are the best team, but the Lions, like, it doesn't make sense to me. Does not make sense to me. But anyway, let's talk Lions. I agree, though, with everything else Colin said. This was an awesome game for the Lions. I was so excited for this game, and at 31-29, it was from the jump, right? It was exactly what we all thought we were getting. I mean, the fact that they kept their composure, right? They're on the road. There was no panic. They're down by 10 versus an undefeated team, right? I mean, the Vikings have this momentum. They have this aura about themselves. The fans are going nuts, and things were just not going well for the Lions, right? And you guys know I'm not a huge fan of all these fakes and all these trickeries. And perfect example, I mean, opening drive, fake punt on own 35. It was just, you know, again, you were immediately down by 7 and 3 minutes in, and then 3 and out, you know, and then it was just like, there you go. And then I even wrote, you know, when the tricks aren't working, the Lions offense was struggling. And I was just like, you know, like you this team has to evolve, which is why I do think the puberty analogy actually kind of works, right? Because it's like this team has to evolve, and we saw it right before our eyes. And I think this is a perfect parallel because this is essentially the game that they lost in the NFC Championship game versus the 49ers, right? Where they got out to a big lead, and then they kind of lose the lead, and then there was no way for them to kind of regain it. Here they go down, they're able to regain momentum, get the lead. Now the Vikings get momentum. At the a third into the game, the Vikings absolutely get the momentum back, right? And now the fans are going nuts, and it's like, okay, there we go. The Vikings are going to pull this off. And the Lions were like, no, 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 right? Like there was plenty of moments that the Lions could have just not gotten it done. And they did. And that is what's really impressive. I kept saying this is a barometer game, and seeing how this game unfolded, the fact that they faced even more adversity, it's more impressive to me that they won this game this way versus then if they just rolled. If the score was just 28-7, it's more impressive that they won this way in a tense, suffocating environment and game where it's very, very tense. This is a very, very tense game. Everybody knows what's on the line here. You're getting everyone's best effort. This isn't one of those things where it's like, oh, well, the Lions jumped out to a 14-0 lead, which then made Sam Darnold and the Vikings have to really try to push the ball down the field. And, that's not what happened, right? Like, sometimes you can explain away those games. You can't explain away this game. This was a tight, back and forth, intense game, and the Lions came out on top because they were just better. Right? I even wrote this all down. The way they won this game, they were essentially just 5% better. They were just slightly better, and that's what made the difference, right? Goff was 12 for 25, 88% completion percentage, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 140 rating. Sam Darnold was 260 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The Lions rushed for 144 yards. The Vikings rushed for 139. The total, was 391 for the Lions. Total for the Vikings was 383. The Lions had 19 first downs. The Vikings had 16 first downs, right? So it was just ever so slightly better. And that's what happens. That's how these games are won. Make no mistake about it. The Vikings are a great team, right? The 49ers last year were a great team. Or the 49ers were a great team last year. Right? They just played marginally better and they won. That's what was happening with the Lions over these years. They would lose to a team where the other team is playing just ever so slightly better, and that's what happens. Here, now, the Lions have been in the position to either dominate a team or be so slightly better, and that's how these games are won. The Chiefs last year in the Super Bowl versus the 49ers were just slightly better. They win the Super Bowl, right? They score a touchdown. The 49ers score a field goal. Boom. Difference, right? Christian McCaffrey fumbles. The Chiefs score. Patrick Mahomes throws an interception. 49ers do not, right? It's all of those little things that really add up. So the fact that the Lions were able to do all this, to me, is wildly impressive. Sometimes it's easy to win a game when you are marginally better, right? When you are clearly better, right? It's when you're just trying to win a game where you're just 2, 3, 4, 5% better. Your quarterback just has to be slightly better. Your run game has to be slightly better. You have to convert just 1 or 2 more first downs. That's how you win the game, 31-29. This is the type of game that I've been waiting for them to see, and I've been waiting to see them play this game when you're both playing great, not win a game when you're both playing not so great, right? That's what we kind of saw the Lions versus, say, the Rams week 1, right? They won this close game where they were just marginally a little bit better, but it was like, nah, that was both kind of an ugly game for both teams. That's not as impressive to me. This game right here is impressive to me, right? Branch has just been wild, jumps the route for the interception. And they finally got their offense going through the run game, which I keep saying is, and it's not, controversial or even that much of a hot take. Like, it's the foundation of the Lions, right? Not trick plays, not the aggressiveness, not even the innovative play calling, all things that I absolutely positively love. I've praised and praised, but it's the run game. Everything is birthed out of the run game because then it opens up the field. Then Goff's able to go deep to Amon-Ra St. Brown for the touchdown, and that's all birthed from the run game. It all came from the run game. And then once the run game gets going, now the field, again, now that the passing game gets opened up, then the run game gets back opened up, right? Like, it feeds off each other. Because then you're able to give it to Gibbs to close out the half with a touchdown. Like they just springboard each other. But it starts with the run game. They get the run game. They make everything easy for Goff. Boom, he turns into Superman. Goff turns into Superman. It's like, oh my God, what do we do? Then the run game opens back up. Like it's just a perfect 1, 2, 3 punch. And that's what makes it so suffocating. It was a tough, gritty win. And what I love too, because they even had pockets where they didn't play great ball, right? They had pockets where they didn't play great ball, but they didn't unravel. That is so important to me to see for the 49, or I'm just messing up everyone's names today, for the Lions, right? That's really important to me. Can you play a stretch? Can you get off to a bad start? Can a trick play not work and you not unravel? Can you have a few drives or even a quarter where you did not do well? You set out to do something and you could not do it. How do you adapt? How do you adjust? How do you change? Because that's what happens in the playoffs. You're not going to roll teams like you rolled the Cowboys in the playoffs. Just not going to happen. And if you do, then, I mean, hey, more power to you, man. Truly. But the chances of that are a lot smaller. So knowing how to win these games is so important. And to me, I'm in no way just going to say, oh yeah, the Chiefs are the number 1 team and the Lions aren't. You trust the Chiefs coaching. They earn that respect. And Patrick Mahomes, right? You know he's not going to crush under the moment. You know Spags and you know Andy are not going to crush, are not going to feel crushed in that moment. So they do get that respect. So if you want to make the argument that they're the number 1 team, I'm okay with that. But it's 1A and 1B. Because Colin in an earlier segment said that the Chiefs are clearly the number 1 team. And it's like, how was beating the 49ers, who doesn't have Ayuk, who doesn't have Christian McCaffrey, who didn't have Debo, who didn't have Juwan Jennings, right? I mean, they were down everybody. Literally everybody beats them. Whereas the Lions beat, in like one of the most hostile home field advantages for the Vikings, beat a 5-0 Vikings team who are full strength. Jefferson, Addison, this awesome defense who's also been top defense in the NFL. Like, no. To me, this showed how great the Lions are. And I'm watching this game, I see the Lions and Vikings. I see 2 great teams. Because even if the Lions lost this game, I'm like, this was an awesome game. Just like how I'm going to make a video probably about the Vikings. And I think they played awesome. They just weren't as good as the Lions. The Lions were just ever so slightly better. And that was the game. I see this could be, this could be the Super Bowl. Obviously, I know it can't be. But to me, I was watching this game. I was like, this is a Super Bowl right now. That's what this is. I'm watching the Super Bowl. And it was awesome. It was awesome top to bottom. I know there's kind of whispers that Aiden Hutchinson can come back for the Super Bowl. You don't know. Bones. You got surgery. When you get surgery on bones, it accelerates the healing. And I'm sure now they have so many other things that they get to do. They probably used, my guess is probably like some, they essentially used like bone to like help the bone heal, right? It's essentially they either used other bone from himself or it's called like a donor bin. So I'm sure they're doing everything they can. They're probably using also a thing called a bone growth stimulation. Like they're probably doing all the things to do to accelerate this healing. But if I were the Lions, I would make this. This is where you realize, okay, this is how good we are. The margin of error is so small. We actually technically could have lost this game, which is true, right? When you only win the game 31-29, you could lose. What do you need to do to make that margin even deeper? What do you do to get better? Make a move. Go all in on this season. Whether it's another offensive weapon, if you could even fathom what that would look like, or go out and boost this defense. Get a Max Crosby, whatever it may be. Go out and make this team even better. Make them the true, bona fide number 1 contender where nobody can say, yeah, I think it's it. No, it's the Lions. Go out and do it. Like I said, like I've said in my previous Lions video, be like the Rams. Find your OBJ and find your Von Miller. That's why they won the Super Bowl. They went out and made those trades mid-season, and they won the Super Bowl because of it, and they needed both those. Find your OBJ, find your Von Miller. Not saying you need an OBJ, but I'm just saying find who those guys are. I don't know exactly who it is, but I'm like begging the Lions, do it. Do it. It's the difference between winning a Super Bowl and having a parade. And oh my God, we were right there. We were right there. Last year, you were right there. Don't be last year. Be this year. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the huge, impressive Detroit Lions win over the Vikings? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.